I'll start with Drake. Can you kind of take us through that three-pointer you knocked down? It was RJ had went baseline, kicked it to you in the corner. Can you just describe that play real quick?
Just when you have a very talented player like RJ on your team, I feel like he draws so much attention, and so it's just important to always stay ready. I feel like he can create for others very well, and just set my feet, knock it down. It was a good experience.
Question for all three of you guys. You just heard Kirsch ties the second largest second-half comeback in program history. It's also the third 18-point comeback today in this gym. Just can you sort of describe what it was like playing in this game?
It was electric. I mean, it was like a high school atmosphere, so some we all kind of miss. But just it was a super loud gym. You know, we had, I don't know, however many percent of the gym packed out with our fans. So just to have them behind our back while we were making that comeback was amazing. We knew we were super capable of it. We knew we were going to do it. But yeah, just to do it in this kind of atmosphere, with how loud it was, you know, how tight the gym is, it was super fun.
RJ, right here, straight ahead, right here.
Oh, no.
Down 21, what was the conversation in the locker room at halftime? Was it mostly Coach Davis, or did anyone on the team, you or anyone else, kind of speak up? And part two of the question is, when did you truly feel like you had the daylight to pull off this level of comeback, if you can remember the play or the sequence when that maybe materialized in the second half?
It was a lot of motivation going to halftime for myself and Seth. We were kind of like the voice in terms of just trying to get guys going and just build our spirit. Obviously, we went down big in the first half. It wasn't the first half we like to play, and you know, myself and Seth, we just told them like, we gotta stop shooting ourselves in the foot. We're always putting ourselves in these positions, and then gotta climb our way back into games. So, if we could just put together the second half like we did tonight in the first half for a full 40 minutes, we'll be more than fine. But I feel like in the second half, the way we battled, we competed, we just chipped away possession by possession. I think that's when we knew like we could come back to this game. It was from everyone. It wasn't just one person. It was a collective contribution from, you know, Drake hitting the corner three, Seth fast break layups, Elliott making nice passes to Jay Wash, Jay Witt and Jay Wash talking on the defensive end on the switches. Just those little plays and little details make big things happen, and that's why I was able to come out with the win.
With the game set tomorrow against Auburn, how are you guys preparing for that? What are you guys looking forward to playing against them?
We'll get back tonight, eat, and then start prep right away. Watch our personnel, watch what they did today, watch their plays on the year. So, yeah, but Auburn's a really good team. They're very competitive. They're very physical. I mean, I think they're a top 5 team. So we really got our hands full. It's going to be a good game. And we know we have to prep ourselves mentally because we know that we got to put 2 halves together tomorrow. You know, we can't sustain this 15-point comeback every second half. You know, we just can't do that. So prepping ourselves that way, you know.
Yeah, this is for any of you guys. Obviously, you guys had, you know, just been touching on it. I know you're not thinking about past games in a, you know, current game, but, you know, the Kansas game was a similar one. Go down 20, make a, you know, a late push. What do you think was, I know you said that's not a sustainable formula, but what do you think was the difference of coming out on top this time around?
I would just say it's heart and not giving up and wanting to compete and wanting to win. It took the starting 5 and then the bench. So we went into our locker room, obviously with some explicit words being said, but that was in a way of just kind of just get everybody to compete harder because they were kicking our butt on both ends of the floor and out hustling us and out toughening us. So we didn't allow that no more in the second half. And like you said, like we kind of did that again against Kansas. And it's not sustainable for the whole year because it's a long year and teams are really good. So we can't keep, you know, coming out flat in the first half and then trying to put a comeback in the second half. So, but I'm really proud of the group effort that we had tonight, and it just shows how really talented and gifted this team is. So, but we just got to do a better job of putting both halves together.
One more thing, going over what I just said, we had a kind of like, I don't know if we made a promise to ourselves, but, you know, we really bet on ourselves that we weren't going to let this be like Kansas. We weren't going to let it end up like Kansas, you know, losing by 3, losing by, you know, the last 30 seconds of the game. So we said it at halftime, you know, hey, we're not going to let this be Kansas. And then we said it with about 3 minutes left to go as well. So we kept reiterating it.
Guys, I was going to ask you something different, but RJ said there were some explicit words. So who was saying the explicit words, if you don't mind?
Me? Seth?
Me.
Yeah. Not Coach Davis.
Well, also, RJ, could you sort of take us through the play? If you've been asked this, I'm sorry, I just got in here, but where you found Drake in the corner, I mean, you were obviously hot there in the second half. What did you see to sort of trust him in that moment, and just how did the play unfold from your vantage point?
Well, I remember Ellie had the ball. We called 5 up, so Jay Walsh was sending screen. And then I kind of like lifted up, but then I realized I brought my defender towards Ellie as he was driving. So I kind of just spaced out and did like a little backdoor cut. And as I was driving, I saw the big pull in, and I was able to get around the big, and then their defense shifted and rotated. And I found Drake in the corner, trusted him. I know he was going to knock it down, and that was a big-time shot from him. And that's what I saw from him. That was the play that happened.
All right, last question for the players, and then we'll move on to Hubert.
RJ and Seth, you both had 4 fouls for an extended period, as well as Elliott. Does that change your approach, or you just put out of your mind? How do you deal with that?
We got to be maybe a little bit more timid on defense, on the defensive end, but it kind of allows us to play smarter. So, honestly, it kind of helps us as it has its cons as well. But, I mean, we've been here before. We've all played in foul trouble before. This wasn't my first time at all. This wasn't his, so we were used to it. But helped us play smarter. I mean, we can't play as aggressive. You know, you kind of want to play more aggressive coming back, you know, when you're down 21. But we were able to do it, so it worked out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
I guess.
Let's switch. All right, guys. Questions for Coach Davis?
Yeah, Hubert. Of course, you had Drake Powell in there. A lot in that second half. He obviously his defensive versatility was certainly a benefit, and of course he made that shot to take the lead. Can you just speak to obviously Drake's defense in that second half as well as the shot he made in the corner?
Well, I mean, Drake is he's gifted athletically, and he's elite defensively on and off the ball, and I thought his length, athleticism, and pressure on the ball when we were switching caused them problems. And then also his ability to rebound the basketball. I thought he stepped up when he got into the game, and then to be able to have the confidence, to be able to knock down that 3 in the corner to put us up by 1 was huge. And so really happy and really proud of Drake tonight.
Hubert, in the second half, a couple of the guys mentioned they were talking about Kansas. We don't want to let this be Kansas at halftime. What was your message to the guys at halftime? Just from your vantage point, what was it like as you were steadily chipping away at that 21-point deficit?
Well, I've said to this group that the growth and the step that this team needs to take is to getting to that level that allowed us to get back to the game, to start the game that way and to stay there. And yes, it gave us and it gave them confidence on what we were able to do on the road at Kansas, to be able to give them an example of there's a lot of time to be able to come back. It's not a situation where we've got to come back from 21 in 2 possessions, just a possession at a time. Actually, the first 4 minutes of the second half, they came to the bench, and I told them they're not making comeback plays. I said, you're just not. You're not getting the rebounds. You're not getting defensive stops. You're not getting through screens. You're not getting loose balls. You're not taking the ball strong to the hoop. You're not dunking when you get around the basket. Just not making those plays. And I said, if you would change that, this game would flip. And they were able to do that against a really good Dayton team. And I also told them this isn't sustainable. You can't do this every game. It's just not. And that's going to be one of the major steps with this team is, can they play with the sense of urgency on both ends of the floor? Can they start there, and can they stay there for a full 40 minutes?
Hubert, straight away right here. I want to have you expound on what you were just getting at there. There was something in the air in this gym today, just wild comebacks. It's probably the best single day in the history of this tournament. But I'm curious, after this kind of result and a phenomenal comeback, what emotions are you feeling? Are you feeling concern for your team? Are you feeling elation that they were able to pull themselves together and provide the university its second largest comeback. Where do you find yourself sitting in the immediacy of this win?
I find myself everywhere. I'm very proud of how they reacted and how they responded. I'm really happy for them. I love those kids and the way that they persevered through adversity out there on the floor and was able to turn this around, as I said before, against a very good Dayton team. I'm really proud of them. I really am. But I'm also keeping it real with them as well as there's areas of consistency and growth that we need to move forward with. And those are things that we'll talk about. We talked about after the game and things that we'll talk about tonight and tomorrow in preparation on playing Auburn.
Hubert, you obviously did talk about, the need to, kind of clean things up. Was there a point in that first half where you felt the guys just needed to settle down a bit? You guys came in, taking care of the ball pretty well.
Prior to this game, I think somebody told me this, I don't know, but somebody told me that we were number one in the country in terms of not turning the ball over.
Yep.
Okay, we flipped it in the first half. Okay, how many? We had 12 turnovers for 19 points, or I don't know how many, but that was uncharacteristic for us. That's one of the things that we talk about all the time is we talk about defense. They shot 51% in the first half. We talk about rebounding. They were beating us on the boards, and we talk about taking care of the basketball. So in the second half, how many turnovers did we have? We had 2 turnovers. 3 turnovers. Then we ended up out-rebounding them, and then we held them from 51% in the first half to, I think, 35% in the second half. You check those 3 boxes, you're going to be in every game, and we're able to do that in the second half.
Looking at the crowd levels today, UNC was definitely on the front with the amount of fans that made the trip, essentially making like a home court advantage. What can you say about the Tar Heels fan base showing up and making this trip?
Well, they always show up. It doesn't matter if it's Maui or Chapel Hill or on the road. Our fans are fantastic, and the encouragement that they gave our team when we were down and we were coming back, giving us that encouragement really helped. And having that home court advantage from the crowd is something that we feed off on. And I'm very thankful and appreciative of the Carolina fans and the way that they have showed up for us here in Maui, but also in Chapel Hill and everywhere else.
Last question, and then we'll get Dayton in here.
Hubert, Seth was in here and he said that the guys were saying that it's not going to be Kansas in terms of a comeback that falls short. Did you feel that sort of level of belief from those guys that even though it was a 21-point deficit, they weren't going to let this one not get there?
Well, I don't know if you were here, but I told them at, I think, the 16-minute mark in the second half, I said, you guys aren't making comeback plays. You're not making the plays to be able to come back. You're just not. You're not getting the rebounds. You're not getting the stops. You're not getting the loose balls. You're not finishing around the basket. You're not setting the screens. You're not running the plays right. You're just not. And that switched after the 16-minute mark, and we just started chipping away. And we do have that experience of not only coming back when we played Kansas, but how we did it. It was just possession by possession. And I think that gave our guys confidence that we could still do it against a really good Dayton team.